Hey, so let's look at some more SBA practice questions in this blue packet I gave you. These are from their number systems and operations section of practice questions. So yeah, let's look at it. It says, what numbers are located exactly 3/2 units from 1/2 on the number line? So there's two numbers that are 3/2 away from 1/2. There's going to be one to the right and one to the left, and we just got to figure out what both those numbers are. And if you're taking this on the computer, you would just click on the number line, but since we have it on paper, let's see here. So this is going to be 1/2 right here, and we just have to figure out what's 3/2 that way and what's 3/2 that way. And each mark they've made here is a half, because you could tell because it goes 0 to 1, and there's a half in the middle, 1 to 2, and there's a half in the middle. So just count 3/2 or 3 marks to the right. 1, 2, 3. So I would select 2 if I were clicking this on the computer. And then let me count 3/2 to the left. So 1, 2, 3. So I would also click -1 if I were on the computer. A big mistake that a lot of students make on this type of question is they go to count on a number line and they count 1 before they actually move 1 space. So let's say you were on 1/2 and you were going to count 3/2 to the right, and you go 1, 2, 3, and you would have wound up at 1.5 instead of where I wound up, which is 2. You got to make sure that you move 1 unit before you count 1 unit, or else you're counting nothing as 1. All right, the second one says drag the expression into the box. So that's like what you would do if you were taking it on a computer. Drag the expression into the box that has a sum or difference between -4 and 6. So we're not going to drag it into the box. I just realized it's not on the screen. So we're not going to drag any of these into the box. I guess we can just circle the one we want or write it in the box. So it has to have a sum or a difference. Essentially, it has to evaluate to something between -4 and 6. So if we just evaluate each 4 of these, find the one that is between -4 and 6. So -1 minus 4, that's -5. That's not between -4 and -6. That'd be over here somewhere. -2 plus -3, that's also -5, not what we want. 3 plus -5, that's -2. That one would work. We should check the last one just to be sure. 4 minus -3, if we add the inverse, that's the same as +7. So this is the one I would go with. I guess we can write it up in here. 3 plus -5. We can even write equals -2 just to be thorough and plot it. It's right here on the number line. All right, let's move on. Number 3 says, does the given expression result in an answer of -16? Select yes or no for each. So you got to check each one of these to see if they equal -16. So here you got to do some fraction multiplication. Just remember you got to multiply the top number by, like, both top numbers to get what goes here, and both bottom numbers to get what goes here. And since you have a negative number times a positive number, your answer should turn out negative. All right, I'm not going to do that one for you. Okay, so here you have -2 times -4, that's +8, but then times -2, this one is -16. One thing a trick that you might remember is that if you're multiplying multiple numbers, you can count up how many of them are negative. If it's an odd number of negatives, your answer is negative. If it's an even number of negatives, your answer is positive, because every 2 negative signs cancel each other out to a positive. And last one, here what I would do is just multiply the -8 times the +4, and then whatever you get, you just want half of that, or multiply it by half. All right, I'm going to let you do that one. Let's see here, number 4, solve and express your answer in decimal form, rounded to the nearest hundredth. All right, so I don't know if you would have a calculator for this question or not. We can talk about what to do if you didn't have a calculator. So first of all, I would ignore this negative sign throughout my calculations and just know that at the very end, since I'm taking a negative and dividing by a positive, my answer should be negative. And that's really all I need to think about until it's time to use that. So if I don't worry about the negative, then what I have here is 3.35 divided by 7/8. That's the same as times 8/7. And well, if you think of this as 3.35 over 1 times 8 over 7, then what we have really is whatever 3.35 times 8 equals, right? That's what we would do to get the top number, divided by, we can get the bottom number real easy. That's 1 times 7. And so if I were doing this without a calculator, I would do this in two separate operations. First, I would multiply 3.35 times 8, which should be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 26 point something. And then I would take that number and divide it by 7, and I'd probably get something in the, like a little under 4 if I had to guess. I guess we can go through it real quick. So we got 3.35 times 8. And so 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24, plus that 4 makes 28. And 8 times 3 is 24. And, oh, I forgot to carry this 2 from earlier. So 8 times 3 is 24, plus 2 is 26. And since I had 2 digits behind the decimal point in my setup here, then I know that I should have 2 digits behind the decimal point in my answer. So the first part's 26.8. I'm going to leave it to you to divide that by 7 and get an answer a little bit lower than 4, it should be. All right. Number 5. A tour bus travels 255 miles every day. After 2 weeks, how many miles has the tour bus traveled? I hope you don't find this one too hard. I think they're just checking to see whether or not you can multiply decently. This should be 255 times 14, since there's 14 days in 2 weeks, and it's going 255 miles every day. I'm not going to do that one for you. That's easy. All right, last one. It says, the teacher spent 1/8 of the class period reviewing the answers to a worksheet. I wish I could review all the answers to a worksheet in 1/8 of a class period. It's more like 7/8. Anyways, the class period was because it was a block period. Okay, so the class period was 1.5 hours in length. How many minutes did the teacher spend reviewing the worksheet? All right, so the first thing I see is that they want an answer in minutes. Might as well just do my math in minutes. Let me convert 1.5 hours to minutes. I think that would make my life easier if I just did that right away. I know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. This additional half hour is another 30 minutes. So it's mean 90 minutes. So now I just have to figure out what 1/8 of 90 minutes is. There's lots of different ways you could do this. You could do 1/8 times 90. You could do 90 divided by 8. That's how you get an eighth of something. That's probably the way I would do it. I would just do 90 divided by 8. And that should get you an answer of 11 point something. It should be something small. And then it says to enter your response as a decimal. So whatever you get here, how much you put in this box. I'm not going to finish the division for you, but I can tell you that it's 11 point something. I'll let you finish it from there. All right.